Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the mental health and personality factors that may be at work in the QAnon conspiracy theory. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So QAnon is a right-wing conspiracy theory that started in October of 2017 on a website called 4chan by an individual referred to as Q. Sometimes we see this person referred to as Q Clearance Patriot, often just referred to as Q. The individual claimed to have top secret information about groups that oppose the Trump administration. Other users on that website repeated the so-called top secret information, and this expanded into the QAnon conspiracy theory. Now, what's interesting is that some people believe that QAnon is really a cult. I'll talk about that in a moment. And some people believe that it's not a right-wing conspiracy theory. It's just a conspiracy theory that has a lot of beliefs based around Donald Trump specifically, and not conservative politics in general. It's not clear how many people are actually in the group at this point or how many people believe in the conspiracy theory, but they have been restricted by several social media platforms, and they had to move to dedicated message boards. Let's talk about the beliefs of QAnon. Essentially, they believe that there's an evil organization in the world, and these people harm children and worship Satan. The group of evildoers is sometimes referred to as the Deep State. It comprises many politicians and entertainers. Donald Trump is aware of this evil group, and if he was not elected president, this group would have maintained their treacherous grip upon the world. Adherents to this theory believe that Donald Trump will bring about what they refer to as the storm and the Great Awakening. At some point in the future, Donald Trump will become victorious over 100,000 or so evildoers. This part is the storm. When this happens, the members of the evil group will be arrested and will most likely go to Guantanamo Bay prison. I find this to be a very specific outcome, right? Kind of like saying they'll be arrested on Tuesday, found guilty 48 days later, they'll be housed in cell block 14, their TVs will not have NBC or CBS on them, and their prison mattresses will be lumpy. Now, with the Great Awakening, everybody will realize that QAnon figured everything out correctly. The whole world will realize how wrong it was for doubting the conspiracy theorist. The irony here, of course, is that QAnon believes that they are the greatest skeptics, but really they are the most gullible. When both the storm and the Great Awakening are completed, the earth will turn into a utopia, although it will still have that prison where all the evil people are. So not really a utopia from their perspective and their lumpy mattresses, but for everybody else, it'll really be a great time. Now, as I mentioned, many people think that QAnon is a lot like a cult. There are many parallels between QAnon and cults. Let's look at some of the commonalities. Often people who join cults are disenfranchised. These are people who have been, for whatever reason, isolated to some degree from society. Being a member of a cult gives them a sense of purpose. It also gives them hope. There's a sense that things will get better, and they can be part of that change. So here we see that QAnon and the cult mentality seem similar. The storm captures the idea of revenge. All who oppose the conspiracy theorist will pay for their evil deeds. Not all cults have this part, but many do. The cult often has a distrust for the general population. They think that people are out to get them, and they think the government is out to get them. They believe the government is trying to restrict their rights, specifically to practice the beliefs of the cult. In cults, the beliefs come from leaders, which may seem like a difference between QAnon and cults. But QAnon has selected a leader. They have selected Donald Trump. To them, he is a great prophet, a great warrior, or maybe even a god. The beliefs of QAnon have already been formed, so they really didn't need a leader for that part. In cults, members are encouraged to find hidden meanings in important texts or other sources. In QAnon, we really see the same thing. They have this whole deal where they send out the speeches and tweets of Donald Trump and other narratives, and the members try to find meaning in those items. They're looking for codes there. So just like a cult might look at different scriptures and ask people to find meaning in those scriptures, QAnon has people look at the work product of Donald Trump. They believe when they analyze these items, they can find the truth through that analysis. But what they refer to as analysis is really just them making these connections between unrelated items. This is referred to as apophenia. It is a tendency to incorrectly make connections between constructs that are unrelated. It's a key feature of paranoia, and it has an association with schizophrenia. A similar construct is the idea of reference. This is where somebody believes that occurrences unrelated to them are actually connected to them somehow. Like a person sees a story on the news about a flood, and they think they caused that by having negative thoughts earlier that day. Cults often have predictions that don't come true. QAnon has those as well. This group has been caught several times making predictions and claims that even they must admit are false. They claim this is done on purpose because disinformation is necessary for them to advance their cause. So really they just have an excuse for every mistake they make. A big part of cults is that someday the members of the cult will be vindicated. Everybody will see that those members were correct. In QAnon, they have the Great Awakening, which is consistent not only with cults, but of course with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theorists think that they know something that other people can't know, don't know, or refuse to learn, and that someday they will be vindicated. Like I mentioned before, someday all people will look at them and say, "You're right. There are alien lizard humanoids," or whatever their particular theory is. So here with QAnon, we see a dangerous mixture. It looks like a cult that has a particular emphasis on paranoia. It really seems like a conspiracy theory that's turning into a cult. Unfortunately, this combination is likely to lead to violence. Whether we think about it as a cult fueled by conspiratorial thinking or a conspiracy theory amplified by the properties of a cult, the outcome is really the same. There have been instances of violence already tied to this type of thinking. Pizzagate comes to mind, even though it predated QAnon. QAnon is like an extension of Pizzagate. There have actually been other incidents as well, like the man who blocked the Hoover Dam Bridge in a homemade armored vehicle. What we see here with QAnon is really more than just a set of beliefs. These people are really joining a community. And I think this is one of the important added effects in conceptualizing this as a cult. These people have found a group that is all moving in the same direction, even though it causes the members to be alienated from their families and friends. People need to feel important, especially in this age of narcissism. Being normal isn't good enough anymore. QAnon allows people to feel like they've figured something out and they're going to make a difference. For those members who feel unsuccessful, QAnon takes care of that. It's not their fault. It's the fault of evildoer politicians and actors. They have found someone else to blame for all their problems. These people have lost their sense of purpose. They long for meaning in their lives. QAnon meets that need. It becomes important and something they must maintain, even if that runs counter to reason. In addition to some of the danger we've already seen, a real worry with a group like this is that it will escalate like other cults tend to do. For example, Heaven's Gate and the People's Temple, otherwise known as Jonestown. Cults can never actually achieve their mission, but they believe they can, and that's where we see an escalation to some type of catastrophe. They force a situation to where it looks like they have achieved their goal. As I mentioned before, Donald Trump has become the focus of this group. He's made a number of statements about the deep state, and he really hasn't distanced himself from QAnon. I understand that a politician doesn't want to alienate groups that might help them. My concern here is, as I indicated, he has become their leader whether he wanted to or not. There's an election coming up that he may win or lose. This really puts pressure in terms of what QAnon is going to do. They're going to feel pressure to act as we move up to the election, and they may even feel pressured after that, depending on the results. If he loses, they will clearly have a bad reaction to that, but even if he wins, the outcome will still be poor, because the storm and the Great Awakening will not happen either way. So how can we solve a problem like the beliefs of QAnon? Conspiracy theories are tough to combat. When they're mixed with cult-like beliefs, as is the case with QAnon, the situation becomes even more challenging. A strategy of judgment and ridicule will not be successful. Education, mental health treatment, and empathy tend to work a lot better. If we look at the people who are able to break away from cults, a lot of the time it actually is logic and reason that help them. They start seeing that their behavior really doesn't make sense. But when that happens, it's important that society is ready to welcome those people back. So isolating people, keeping them separate from society creates a dangerous situation. As I was thinking about QAnon, I was trying to come up with something really compact, something that is easily noticeable that they tend to share, like a property, a characteristic that many of them tend to align with. And one of the things that occurred to me was we've seen this kind of meme out there, wait what, right? So W-A-I-T and then W-H-A-T with a question mark. So it's like, wait, what? That type of thing. I noticed that with conspiracy theorists, they don't tend to have that wait what moment in the right venue, in the right context. So they do disbelieve certain things, usually reality. They don't, however, confront situations at the right time so that they can be led back to reality. So an example would be if somebody was talking to you about politics and they said, look, the government is corrupt. You might say, okay, I've seen a lot of evidence of corruption. I agree. Then they might say, we need to elect politicians who will get rid of all that corruption. Okay, that still makes sense. And after this, they might say, it'd be great if Donald Trump could lead us to a golden age. So he's going to rid the world of all evildoers and establish a utopia. At this moment, you might say, wait, what? So there's this pause, right, the wait, and then the confrontation. What? Because what they're saying doesn't make sense. But conspiracy theorists don't tend to do this. They tend to ramp up. So as that narrative was kind of escalating and getting more extreme and nonsensical, they don't ever have that, wait, what moment. They just keep going. They keep saying, yeah, tell me more. I believe that. This confirms all the fears and concerns I've had for so many years. So really, it's like a missing wait what mechanism. I guess it's really part of gullibility, right? So they're not really, again, kind of confronting at the right time. So it's interesting. They're not really accepting and rejecting information in a traditional way. They're accepting only that confirms their beliefs, and they're not even analyzing the other information, right? So that was just something that occurred to me, that whole wait what moment, and what that might mean to conspiracy theorists. Of course, if somebody doesn't use that phrase or they don't similarly confront people when presented with nonsense, that doesn't mean they're a conspiracy theorist. There are many other explanations. It's just something that I found that I thought was somewhat interesting. So those are my thoughts on QAnon. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.